By the time I returned to Ahmedabad, the world had already gone back to being ordinary. Normal routine, normal life. I am feeling tired after the continuous journey. Rajgarh was one of the cases which cannot be forgotten. I carried two things back from Rajgarh, a book and a mark. Everything was exactly as I had left it. Normal. That word had started losing its meaning. Bag was full of equipments. I unpacked slowly. Camera. Recorder. Notebook. The empty envelope from Rajgarh. Last of all, the book. It looked older here than it had in the village. Heavier. More present. I should have slept. My body had been moving for 18 hours straight. Rajgarh to Bhopal. Bhopal to Ahmedabad. 3 connections. I was exhausted in the specific way that makes everything feel slightly unreal. I sat down at the table anyway. I opened my notebook first. Old habit. Document everything before it fades. Case 002. Rajgarh, Madhya Pradesh. Concluded. I stared at that word for a long time. Concluded. Then I closed the notebook and looked at the book. I reached forward and opened it. The pages were thick and uneven, like they had been pressed from something other than standard paper. Darkened at the edges, not from age or not only from age. Darkened the way something gets when heat has touched it repeatedly. Every page filled margin to margin. No paragraphs, no breaks, just continuous script in a language I did not recognize. It was not Hindi, Sanskrit, nor English. It was not Arabic or Urdu. And then I found it. A symbol on page 31. Circular, layered, and almost identical to the mark on my right wrist. The mark that had appeared in Rajgarh. I sat with that for a long time. Then I closed the book. By the time I looked up, evening had settled outside the window. The lamp in my room felt very small suddenly. I made a tea. It is what I do when my mind needs somewhere to put itself. Small gas flame. Kettle. The sound of water beginning to move. I poured it into the cracked ceramic mug I have used for 3 years. Chai so strong, it makes your eyes water. I sat by the window. Below me, Ahmedabad was completely unbothered. Traffic moving through the lane. A vendor arguing with someone across the street about the price of something that did not matter at all. A dog crossing in no particular hurry. I watched all of it and felt something I had not expected to feel. I envied every single person down there who had not seen what I had seen. The envelope lay on the table beside the book. I looked at it once. Something in me said, "Not yet. Not tonight." I set the mug down. Some part of me already finished. Exhaustion finally won the argument. I turned off the lamp. I checked the window latch. I lay down on the narrow bed, eyes open for a moment, looking at the ceiling. Then my eyes closed. Sleep came fast. The room was dark and still. The clock on the nightstand read 12:47 a.m. And at 3:33 a.m. exactly, everything changed. My eyes opened, all at once. Not the slow drift of normal waking, not the confused half-consciousness of being pulled from a dream. All at once, fully awake, fully present. No dream, no confusion, no reason. Just instant wakefulness. I lay completely still, staring at the ceiling. I turned my head slowly toward the table. The room was dark. A single thin beam of pale street light came through the gap in the curtain and fell across the floor toward the table. The table came into focus, and I saw it. The book was open. I want to be very precise about this moment. I had closed that book. I sat up slowly. Bare feet on cold floor. I looked across the dark room at the open book, and I walked toward it. I crossed the room carefully, because something about the air in that room felt. The closer I came to the table, the air felt thinner, not colder, not warmer, thinner. At first there was nothing, just the open book, just the pale light, just the thin air. I stood over the pages and waited. The investigator in me was cataloging. Book opened autonomously. Second incident of self-directed behavior from this object. No wind source, no external vibration, no logical mechanism. And then, a sound. I want to be careful about how I describe this, because the word sound is almost wrong. It was not sound the way voices are sound. It was not sound the way the city outside was sound. It was more like the memory of sound, the shape of a word rather than a word. Dry, barely there, like breath, moving across paper, like something that had once known how to speak, trying to remember the mechanics of it. It came from the pages, from directly above the pages, from the exact space where the air had felt thin. And it said, "Open." One word, or the ghost of one word. I froze. My entire body went completely still. Investigators are trained. You train yourself. Not to react, to observe, to document, to remain the camera, not the subject. I was the subject now. Every hair on my body understood that before my brain did. I did not move. I did not breathe. I listened. And then it came again. Different word, same broken, reaching almost their quality. Learn. It was not a whisper. It was something trying to produce a whisper and not quite managing it. Like an echo trying to remember what the original sound was. An intelligence behind it. I believed that in that moment, and I believe it now. An intelligence that had a message, that knew I was there, that was directing those words at me specifically. Open. Learn. Case 003. Book received from Rajgarh. Previous case displayed autonomous responsive behavior
wanted to be
at
read.
3:33 a.m. Self-opened to unreached section. Auditory phenomenon. Directional, originating from pages. 2 intelligible fragments received. Open, learn. The envelope had been sitting on that table since I unpacked. Brought from Rajgarh. Given to me by the contact who connected me to that case. She had told me, "When you're ready for the next one, open this." I had not been ready. Sometime between closing the book and the book opening itself, apparently that had changed. I picked it up, turned it over once, tore it open. Inside was a single folded page, handwritten, a name. Mr. John Smith. I picked up my phone and dialed. Then a man answered. And the voice that came through was not the voice of a man who had been sleeping. It was the voice of a man who had been waiting. Specifically waiting for this call.
I knew you'd call tonight. He told us. The man in the house told my wife before she stopped being my wife. He said a man named Sid Vyas will contact you. He said only Sid Vyas will be able to help. My wife is not herself anymore. She hasn't been herself for 11 weeks. I don't know what is in my house, but it knows your name. Please, please come.
Before I had opened the envelope, before I had any knowledge of this case, I looked at the book on the table, the book that had opened by itself, the book that had whispered 2 words at 3:33 a.m. Open. Learn. I understood now what it wanted me to open. I understood now what it wanted me to learn. I said one thing to Mr. Smith. Send me everything. Flight details. Full address. Every photograph you have of your wife. I stood up, looked at the room. Then I pulled the travel bag off the floor and opened it. Some decisions do not need to be thought about. This was not a decision. This was a conclusion I had already reached somewhere around shot 64 of my own notebook. Camera, recorder, notebook, everything went back in. Then I stopped, looked at the book. This was the decision. This was the one that required a moment. I had not asked for that book, Thad not sought it. It had found me in Rajgarh and attached itself to this case. It had opened by itself. It had whispered my name. It had led me to an envelope containing the name of a man in Salem, Massachusetts, whose wife was no longer herself. Taking it felt like accepting something I did not fully understand. Leaving it felt like abandoning a tool I was going to need. Stretched down, both hands, lifted it from the table with the same care I had set it down with hours earlier. Lowered it into the bag. The bag almost felt heavier than the book's weight alone explained. He zipped it closed. I stood in the center of the room, fully dressed, bag at my feet. Dawn light just beginning to press through the gap in the curtain. That pale gray blue that comes before actual color. The world outside beginning its ordinary morning. I looked at the room one last time. The narrow bed. The wooden table where the book had opened by itself. The nightstand with the clock still reading the wrong hour in my memory. The cracked ceramic mug with cold tea in it. Quiet. By sunrise, I was on my way to America. And the next case, Case 003, had not begun with the phone call. It had not begun with the envelope. It had begun 11 days earlier in a village in Rajgarh, when a dead woman pressed an ancient book into my hands, and a mark appeared on my wrist that I still cannot explain. It had begun when the book whispered in the dark. Case 003, Smith House, Salem, Massachusetts. Coming next week. If this case is already getting under your skin, you have not seen anything yet. I am traveling to Salem this week. The investigation begins in Case 003, Episode 1. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and